Since the release of Wuthering Waves is just around the corner and many people are still waiting to finally get their hands on the game, and maybe it is actually their first ever gacha title, I thought I'm going to make this nice video, 7 tips and tricks before you start playing Wuthering Waves. Enough talking, let's get right into it. Starting with tip number 1, don't waste your materials. The game will shower you with a lot of materials right at the beginning of the game, especially with the release of the game, since we hit all the pre-registration milestones, where we will get a ton of additional free stuff. You will need a lot of resonance potions, that's basically character experience, and energy cores, weapon experience, to level up your character and weapons. And different types of materials, of course, such as rings, whispering cores, mask, and more to break through your weapons to further increase the level of them and upgrade your resonator skills. But also items like strife tested cores or rage tested cores and more drop from bosses that are resonator breakthrough items, also needed to ascend our characters and further increase the level of them. And let's not forget about shell credits. That's the currency used in Wuthering Waves to do basically anything. And with limited daily stamina, also called wave plates in Wuthering Waves, we can only farm so much. So we really have to plan ahead to not run out of all these necessary materials. As you see, there's a lot of items to farm for in Wuthering Waves, which brings us to the second tip today: focus on 3 characters in the beginning. You see, Wuthering Waves has a bunch of characters, and over time Kuro Games will add more and more to the list, especially at the beginning where we have to start from 0 and work on everything at the same time. You should focus on very few characters to be able to easily progress both in the story and world level, which in return will increase the amount of materials we get while farming. That is why you shouldn't spread out your materials too thin and only focus on about 3 characters, since we can only have teams of 3 characters at the time. Also make sure to upgrade at least 1 DPS character, because that is going to be essential when we're challenging more difficult enemies such as bosses and to farm more materials later on. Also, talking about upgrading characters, that brings us to the third point, which is Wuthering Waves is a marathon, not a race. Now, what I mean by that is that it will naturally take time to build your first characters. Make sure to have at least 1 good team before starting to make a second one. Eventually, by playing Wuthering Waves actively, you will build up enough resources to build multiple characters, weapons, and teams. Make sure to never cap out on wave plates your daily stamina and set it as your first task of the day. That will ensure a steady and consistent progress by not letting your wave plates max out and basically waste material and time. On to tip number 4, do not waste your premium currency. Every gacha game has its premium currency. In Wuthering Waves, this currency is called Asterite, which we will obtain through completing missions, daily tasks, and events. This currency is used in the gacha system to get more weapons and characters, and it usually takes quite a bit of time to build up a decent amount, making this resource very valuable. Don't waste it on pulling on the standard banner called Title Cores, because eventually you will get all of the standard units anyways through pulling on the limited banners. Only use the lustrous tides given to us by participating in events to pull on the standard banner. For new players, there actually is going to be a special banner, Utterance of Marvels, which will guarantee us a 5-star unit within 50 pulls, which also requires lustrous tides. Make sure to pull on that banner first with the free lustrous tides and only after on the standard banner. Asterite can also be used to recharge a certain amount of your daily wave plates. Now, as tempting as this might be, it straight up is a bad idea, just meant for whales. If necessary, use crystal solvents that we will gradually obtain by just playing the game. Tip number 5, do not pull on every event banner. Even by saving your premium currency for event banners, you will not be able to get every character when it releases, especially if you are free to play. To make sure you get the characters you really want, plan ahead and inform yourself on either YouTube or websites like pridewin.gg that help you figure out if a character is strong or compatible with your teams. And of course also save up asteroid even if you pull for characters that look cool to make sure you get them all and maybe even their featured weapon. But generally speaking, make sure to focus on pulling characters and not weapons. Because while featured weapons increase the damage and the overall stats of characters by a lot, if you're missing the featured character the weapon belongs to, you more or less wasted a lot of premium currency to get it and it won't be as powerful as it could have been. And characters normally introduce a new style of combat which is more valuable than just a featured weapon which is just a buff. Tip number 6, world level. Every 20 union level, which is basically your account level, you have to face a challenge to upgrade your world level called Soul 3 phase. After you've leveled up your world level, the enemies you encounter will get significantly stronger. Use these challenges as anchor points to see if your characters and teams are strong enough to increase your world level, because if your characters aren't strong enough, you might have a difficult time farming materials to increase your strength. And lastly, tip number 7, weapons and echoes. While leveling up your characters is very important, we should not forget about weapons and echoes, because these two things will massively increase your overall stats and damage. So make sure to have a decent and fitting set of echoes for your characters. Again, YouTube and websites like pridewin.gg can help you to find the perfect build for a character. Since we cannot farm higher rarity echoes at the beginning, make sure to not level up your low rarity echoes too much, because we won't be using them long term anyways, starting from the lowest rarity green up to blue, then purple, and then the highest rarity gold. We should level up our green and blue echoes just enough to be able to clear content without struggling too much. The same for the weapons, although purple 4-star weapons can be upgraded fully because we won't have access to many 5-star weapons anyways, unless you spend a lot of money on the gacha system, which I wouldn't recommend. And there have been occasions in other gacha games where 3-star weapons were actually the best choice for some very specific characters. So again, go look it up on, for example, pridewin.gg to see which weapon is the best for the character you are willing to upgrade. And we're done. I know it was a lot. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this was of help to you. If so, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I will see you soon.